third album, Unmasked, 2024, this one came out. This one was again driven by a whole concept. Prior to this album, we'd both been diagnosed with adult ADHD. And suddenly, it's wow, especially our age in your 50s when you're diagnosed, the whole of your life, you look at it in a different way. And got to be honest, we weren't struggling too much, really. But it was really important to find out, because now going forward for the rest of our lives, we know our framework and how we see things. It was a big eye-opener, it really was. And so suddenly we found ourselves writing an entire album inspired by having ADHD. Not for people with ADHD, not in a self-indulgent way, because the lyrics are always written from an angle that each song has to mean something to someone else, regardless of the subject matter. And also, there were a couple of songs ended up on there, and certainly one in particular I can think of, Fallen Angel, which I wrote when I was about 2021. And, there were patterns in songwriting spanning for 30 years or more, where the element was there of ADHD, it's just it wasn't diagnosed.
Yeah, and so this album really is about so many aspects of ADHD, and we do know a fair bit about it as well. I was so fascinated about the whole thing, especially at our age. I was 52 and you were 55, I think, when you were diagnosed. So, so I ended up writing a book called Missing Piece. It was all about ADHD in women, late diagnosed. And it got published by HarperCollins, which was amazing. So that's kind of out there, and we've gone on to do a podcast all about ADHD as well, called ADHD Difference, emphasising the difference rather than the disorder. The tracks on this album really, it doesn't necessarily reflect our personal journey step by step, but certainly incorporates some of the angst and challenges that fellow ADHDers do experience. So, some of the lyrics are quite bitey, but that doesn't mean that that's our day-to-day.
Let's look at some of the tracks. Iceberg, very, very quickly, because we actually did quite a few videos for this album, and I'd like to sort of have a little burst of them as we're talking on this one. Iceberg, classic iceberg. You only ever see 10% of an iceberg. It's what lies beneath the surface that's the dangerous part. As anyone on the Titanic would tell you if they're around.
But not just the dangerous part, but the bulk.
The bulk.
The bulk of it. Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So you only get to see the tip of it, and often thought, gosh, that's life, isn't it? You only get to see a certain side of a person in that environment. It might be at work, or it might be at the school gates, or whatever it may be.
But people don't want to go below the 10%. It's all shallow talk, blah, blah, blah. There's no going, we're not interested in small talk. That doesn't define us. We hate small talk. We just want to go boom, straight to the heart of someone, get right down to the nitty gritty. So we're about the 90% of someone. Yeah. The 10% boring, hello, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. No, who are you? Not what do you do, who are you? What's the story?
Talking about the story, the video, so much fun. I mean, we as you know, we do our own videos, and this one was filmed in our garage. We made our own snow. We practiced making snow for a bit, which was really quite cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to
and a big green screen.
Bicarbonate soda, I think, was used
and
somewhere.
Corn flour, and
amazing. It was incredible. Just
it
like
was like flakes, and then you could squish it together and make snowballs. And anyway,
great fun. Yeah. And another favourite of mine, Hogtie, the next one you wrote.
I did.
Yes,
I did. The whole concept of it was being hogtied to the mainstream, and society. I think the lyrics say, chisel you down so you fit into the round hole. Obviously we're square pegs, they'll chisel you till you fit into that round hole, and do as you're told, and basically don't go outside the box.
Then there's a song halfway through the album which actually was written quite a while before the album. I think would have been more destined for the previous album, but didn't fit. I.e. there's too many tracks, because I like even numbers of tracks. 12 on this one. Flip side is literally flip the record over. So you get to flip side, it's time to flip it over. And but actually flip side's about growing up and the freedom and all the fun of growing up in the 70s and how it's different now. And so we were, ADHD kids run around, and then we were free. We literally were. You grew up on an island, you were incredibly free. I was able, even in England, to be going all day on my bike and out with my mates, getting up to mischief. Never criminal mischief, but we were free in a way kids aren't now.
And that's really good for ADHD kids, to be able to go on adventures and burn off some energy and to be really creative and just go and do stuff. There's some very cool tracks. There's one called Always Dreaming that might go, it's always dreaming, harmless dreaming, which is ADHD, which is cool. I think it's not mentioned otherwise in the song, so that's cool. The other one, which I quite like, is Masquerade, because you'll hear a lot of ADHDers will feel like they're masking. They're not being themselves, they're kind of hiding themselves, they're too embarrassed because they talk too much or too loud, or they feel that maybe they're too intense, and so they kind of put on this little mask. So the Masquerade is basically saying, no, that's the end, no more masquerade now, no, unafraid and unashamed to be me.
Again, none of the lyrics are only for that audience. Anyone who is what was called neurotypical, but that's the expression that's used, opposite to divergent. These lyrics are there, and the songs are there to, I get this, and I take that and I attach that to my situation or the way I'm feeling or thinking. And probably my favourite ever song is Wiser, the closing one.
Yes,
a very, very beautiful, relatively short song, a letter back to our younger selves.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's important is it's sort of, it marked up a closure before it's time to move on now. It's okay, you're all right, you're going to be okay, and it's done, we're sorted, onwards now armed with our new knowledge. And a very interesting video for this one, because it's the only time in a video we've used AI. And so rather than use a bit of AI, we actually did the whole lot in AI. Everything. There's not a single part of it that was filmed. We spent ages digging out photos, and we don't have a lot of photos when we were younger. We had no film when we were younger.
Because
my parents didn't have cameras, couldn't afford them.
Again, now, today, how lucky are we can film on our phone. We might have some video from a decade ago or so, whatever it may be. But we had zilch, absolutely no moving pictures of us. So that was really, really cool. So we had fun digging through some of our photo albums to all the different looks.
And bringing them alive. And
ages.
It took weeks to do, because AI is very clever, but it can suddenly give you 6 fingers and do strange things. So
pretty much it's a still photo that then moves just vaguely. So we're not doing anything outrageous. We're not doing anything that we wouldn't do ourselves.
It's all very natural.
We did have to double check it to make sure that when the face was turned, that it matched our profile now, or that we knew ourselves to look that way, if that makes sense. So
some other photos, really.
Yeah.
But it panned out, it worked, and it was it's incredibly emotional. I know AI, it's easy to just AI slot, dismiss it, but when you use it for something emotional and powerful, it's quite incredible. Bringing alive my mum, for instance, holding me as a baby, it's like, wow, that's probably how it looked, she and I looked that day. That's it, just 3 or 4 seconds, it's like, wow. It implants a new memory. And I know from looking at that, it's not so radically different that I've got a different impression of what she was like, because you have to have a very harsh and strong judgment on what it's doing. And so, yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
So the whole album, Unmasked, it's definitely got ADHD heaped throughout it, but it's not just for ADHDers. It's not the soothing music to put you into a trance to help you work better. It's actually a pumpy, jumpy, lovely album that's got some high energy and some softer songs on it. So that was Unmasked, and thank you for listening.